Well, greetings, everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of Lightbulb Moments, episode number 136. Who would have thought? Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to check out past episodes. And also, we turned this into a podcast. So whether you're listening to this live, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to the podcast, we're thrilled you're joining us. I'm Tom Kuhn. I'm host and curator of Lightbulb Moments. Light bulb moment is a moment of sudden realization, enlightenment, or inspiration. And hopefully, you'll get some light bulb moments today. And remember, it's one thing to have a light bulb moment, but you can't start a fire without a spark. So hopefully, this might spark you on to making some positive changes in your business and your life. At Qnity, we're here to take what's confusing, complicated, and overwhelming to a clearer path towards prosperity, whatever that means to you. And to prosper, remember to manage your ATM, the three currencies we have in life: attention, time, and money. And thanks for spending your precious time and attention with us. We love hearing from you. And if you have any of your own light bulb moments, or you want to be a guest or nominate a guest, please go ahead and do so. Check out past episodes, which I'll get to a few of those in a moment. And just in a little bit here, we're going to be welcoming to the mic and the screen John Dijulius, my good friend and a legend in many ways. So we'll get to John in a moment. Last week, a super interesting session with Dr. Melissa Hubiak, who's was an ER doc and grew up off the grid. Fast forward to today, and she's got a very successful Medi-Spa practice. Taught us quite a bit about that space, some of the opportunities and threats, and great episode. Kelly Eilers, that was another great episode. A few episodes again. It was almost like a master class in marketing, social marketing. I, of course, been talking a lot about succession planning and the wave of small businesses that will be ripe for transition. And then, of course, Roderick Samuels had a great session. That man's passion comes through every time we talk to him. Don't forget to listen to the Money O2 podcast by Erin. She's had some great episodes. And my light bulb moment this week, I mentioned last week that this is really a time where there's a lot of in-person events. And I'm actually still at an in-person event down in Arizona at the PBA Executive Summit, which I think I mentioned I was going to that. And, when you bump into people, things happen. And I just really celebrate the power of relationships, of which many relationships started at an event. And so ironically, last time I connected with John Dijulius was at the PBA Executive Summit a couple of years ago, and John was a speaker. And we reignited a friendship that's been going on for a very, very long time. So I'll save a little bit more about the PBA Executive Summit, just a couple of highlights. Sydney Berry was properly recognized for her contribution over the years. She might even be joining us today. She's indefatigable. She somehow has this energy that keeps coming through. And I wouldn't be surprised if she showed up today, even though she has to be exhausted in the last 2 days. But, I'm very optimistic about the beauty industry, and some of the sessions that we had to do with trends. Obviously, everybody's talking about AI, and I'm not in a position to summarize all of those, just other than I think these are exciting times ahead of us. And as we look into next year, it's a great time to really firm up some of your planning, including make sure you get to the events that make a difference for you. So with that, I'd like to invite John to the mic. Good morning, John. How are you?
Good morning, Tom. Finally, we've been trying to get this, on the books for a long time. So happy to see you and be here.
John, you're, I think to do you justice, we obviously know each other very well, but just to do you justice, I'm going to read your bio because I think it really gives a better idea of the scope of the work that you do. So John really has been the person that has talked about making price irrelevant. He's an authority on world-class customer and employee experience. He's worked with companies such as the Ritz-Carlton, Lexus, Starbucks, Nordstrom's, my God, Nestle, Marriott, Progressive Insurance, Chick-fil-A, Celebrity Cruise Lines. This guy is like the man. And many more to help them continue to raise the bar and the standard to service or exceed customer expectations. He doesn't just tell others how to do it. He's built 3 successful businesses in addition to the Dijulius Group. He's also the founder, and that's where I first met John, was at John Roberts Spa, which is a multi-location salon in Ohio. He also, his third business is Believe in Dreams, which is a nonprofit that helps make dreams come true for deserving children.
Thank
You know,
you.
I mentioned when we connected, John, I commented, you've really been a person that grew up in the salon industry and then, moved on to some really cool things. But you still stay connected to the salon industry. You're still beloved by the salon industry. You're, one of the first to say yes. So I thought, first of all, I'd celebrate you a little bit in your success. So bravo to you. I'm proud of you, man. It's great.
Thank you, Tom, and you too. And we've worked. It's been well over 2 decades, scary, almost 3. I think when we met, and our paths have crossed at speaking at numerous events, and we've hired you, and you've done wonders for our business, and it's really cool to see what you've done as well.
Many people don't know this, John, but you're sort of indirectly the brainchild behind 2 to 10. I don't even know if our team knows this, because you created that market leaders group. It was you and Stephen Brooks.
Yeah.
And then I had left the group because I had left, it kind of fizzled out a little bit, and it inorganically became what's now known as 2 to 10. So,
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
So you have one of the things I remember about you that always stuck with me, I've repeated this 100 times, is I remember talking to you when you were really starting to build an identity as a world-class speaker. And you said something to me. You said, Tom, I realized I'm specializing in customer service, customer experience, and marketing, which means I'm not really specializing. And you made this fundamental career decision that you're going to lean in on customer experience and not confuse people. Do I have that story right?
Yeah, exactly. One of my favorite quotes, I think it's attributed to Jerry Garcia, but I love this quote. I have it up. You don't want to be known as the best at what you do. You want to be known as the only one that does what you do, right? So, for me, that means I got to eat, sleep, and drink, and out consume anyone in my field of interest. And I'm just, whether it's sports or anything in my life, I'm not talented enough to be wide and thin. I have to be very, very narrow and deep. So I want anyone that works with me, or anyone that thinks of me, to think of one thing professionally, right? And if you see me saying, oh, I'm speaking for serious business on social media or marketing or leadership, and then this week you see me, I'm speaking at PBA on, customer experience, that doesn't really make me an expert in your eyes, nor do I want my clients to think I'm trying to be all things. So employee and customer experience is the only thing I do consume and try to improve.
Tell me about the book. You have a new book.
Oh,
Tell us
yeah.
about it.
New book. Very excited. The Employee Experience Revolution, which obviously has really become front and center since the pandemic, the Great Resignation, quiet quitting, all those things. And, as you know, from 2010 to at least 2022, not really sure where this year falls, but at least 2022, we had one of the strongest economic boom stretches, maybe, ever. Usually you don't get 12 years like that, but it makes a lot of leaders, entrepreneurs, a little lazy. It's kind of in the salon industry, every month is December, right? And then we take our eye off the ball, right? We start treating the employees the way we should be treating the customers the way, because we have a line out the door, we have a waiting list. So I think that was one of the silver linings that came out of the pandemic, was how we got a little too fat on profits. I'm talking not the salon industry, corporate America, if you will. And we stopped, treating people the way they deserve to be treated.
What's the overall thesis? Tell us a little bit more about the book. I mean, broken down into chapters,
Yeah, yeah,
key
yeah.
thesis behind it.
So the main one is great companies, great leaders are born to help people live extraordinary lives, and that people as customers, employees in your community, and find a life of meaning and purpose. And something that just came out in Pew Research a couple of weeks ago, two things, and kind of my light bulb moment. Well, actually, my leadership epiphany, which I would call light bulb moment, Tom, is we've all heard, I know you've heard it and probably said it, I've said it ad nauseum, the quote, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with," right? I've said it to my kids. I said every orientation to my new employees. And typically, if we don't like who, let's say one of my sons is hanging out with, we hold them responsible, right? You have to make better choices, right? But here's my leadership epiphany. The two biggest mistakes I think all of us were guilty of doing, me included, coming out of the pandemic, was hiring anyone we could find because we needed bodies, and worse, just as bad, is keeping poor performers, bad attitudes, because we needed 10 more people, so we didn't want to make that 11, right? But this is my leadership epiphany, my light bulb moment. Our employees don't get to choose their 5, right? They're 5 coworkers. We choose for them. And, and so we're hiring just anyone, and we're keeping bad people. And if young Tom Kuhn at 19, 23, 25 is a rock star, an A player, and, one of two things are going to happen. For him, better is he gets the hell out of there, because rock star A players hate working with C and D players. The worst thing is he stays and gravitates to the average of the 5 employees we surround himself with. And then what do we do as leaders? What the hell happened to Tom, right? He used to be good. Now he's bad, and we're blaming Tom and not looking in the mirror. So that was my light bulb, epiphany. But another thing that came out that you reminded me of on your opening is, I don't know if you saw this, but about 2 months ago, the U.S. Surgeon General came out and said that the U.S. has an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. And that's serious stuff. And, that scares me. It's, and the whole work from home environment has added to it. I don't have a hidden agenda of trying to get everyone back to the office. And I know the beauty industry is obviously they have to come in, which is a good thing. But this is where I think we're lucky, the beauty industry, because we can, at least for an hour, a week, a month, give someone that our presence and give them that bounce in their step that very few people can get or give anymore.
All right, I'm going to unpack both of these. The first one, I think I got the light bulb moment. I wasn't sure what I actually thought you were going to say.
With that.
No. You just gave me a light bulb moment, because I never really thought about that. And to validate that a little bit more with you, a study just came out from Harvard Business Review, saying that your 99% likeliest predictor of your success boils down to one thing: your reference group. It's kind of hot off the press. 99% of your success is your reference group. What you're doing is you're connecting a huge dot here. What you're saying is that as a business owner, you are choosing the people that the rest of your team spend time with. And if you indulge with a low performing team, the entire operation drags with it.
100%. I mean, that literally, made me, stay up at night, realizing that, I dictate who my employees surround themselves with. Our employees don't get to choose for the most part, right? So if I bring in a negative Nancy or whoever to work with Tom Kuhn, Tom's going to hate his job. He's going to, go away or change. And we don't want either of those things to happen.
Then you talked about the epidemic of loneliness. And I think as you may or may not know, Mary, my wife, is a health coach and is deep into the research and all that stuff. And and you might have a better grasp of this than I do, but I believe that loneliness trumps several other things in your life in terms of a peace of mind. And I'm trying to figure out the body of, oh, I know what it is. It's worse than, and working at
15
home.
cigarettes a day.
Yeah. Thank you.
15 cigarettes a day, and it has a physical, besides the mental, has a physical effect on our body, like, a lot of bad things, right? Yeah. So to that point, our conference that of the customer service revolution that we had in October, our theme was Ubuntu, Ubuntu, South African word meaning I am because of we are. I am because we are. And, think about that, in your life, my life, everyone listening, there's no self-made anyone, right? It takes a village. And so I think as business leaders, we need to create experiences for our employees and our customers that, it is a community. And that because we're missing that in so many walks of our life. I mean, think about this, Tom. Is I really feel bad for the younger generation that had to go to school in the pandemic, right? College. Because now they think about, me and you when we went to college, everyone, that's where we met. I mean, people are were in my wedding that I met in college. And then shortly after that, when we got our first jobs, right? Networking, not networking to sell each other, but networking of, you're a pretty cool guy, I'm going to happy hour, you want to come, and we connect, and the going up to the girl at the bar, right, and striking out and realizing, all right, I need to do a new game plan. All those skills are worse now because all you gotta do is swipe right. Yeah, and I watched a TikTok video the other day that said they were interviewing this girl. I'm totally going off the subject, but I'll bring it back because it's what we are one of the blessings that we're able to do in this industry. But they went up to this girl and said, what's the shortest guy you'd go out with? And she goes, oh, 6'1", 6'2". All right, how old? I think 30 to 35. And then how much money does he need to make? He can't make less than $110,000. And then they asked her what percentage of men, and he has to be single. What percentage of men do you think that is? And she said, 40. And he said less than 4%. But the funny thing was, I watched this and I go to Claudia, my fiance, and I said, if I was on an app and I was relatively honest about my height, right? Relatively, I've never admitted to anyone. That's why I like big stages, because you can't tell, right? Would you swipe right on me? And she thought about it. She said, no. But think about that. Think about, just the world. I'm not criticizing younger generations, but we don't meet people and build the charm and personality and being curious and all those things like we used to. So totally went off the rails, but that just comes back to just where we are, and that's why we're so lucky in the beauty industry that we can look at each other and eye to eye. And I always said in the beauty industry, the biggest thing I try to tell my staff is you want to make price irrelevant, you want to make location irrelevant, sell people the bounce. And what I mean by that is the bounce in their step. Compliment them, love that shirt, Tom, love those authentically, but make Tom get up or Mary get up from that chair from the moment she walks in till she walks out. She got 3 hellos, 3 thank yous, 3 goodbyes, 3 compliments, and make Tom or Mary feel as close to a 10 physically, emotionally, and psychologically. Not many people get to do that.
A lot of you've got this is a body of work that you've worked on for a very long time, and you're on to the next book. But even some of the fundamentals that you just talked about, like 3 hellos, 3 offers, 3 goodbyes, 3 compliments, whatever. That's something that you can systematize. And key is make sure it's authentic, so it doesn't come off as false. So I wonder how many of our listeners actually know of this practice, as basic as it is. Do you want to just go through the 3s?
Yeah. So what we call, the one is beat the greet. Used to call it beat the customer, but United Airlines took it literally. So we changed it to beat the greet. And that means no one says hi to you first. And that's a coworker. and that's a team member. No one says thank you first. No one says goodbye first. And then next to beat the greet is in commas 15-5. 15 means you come within 15 feet of anyone. Physically, you smile and nod. 5 feet, I say something, meaning I may be walking by you to get to someone else, but if I come within 5 feet, good morning, welcome back, great to see you again. So that's beat the greet, which stands for all three of those. And it shouldn't, one of the things that one of the biggest enemies of a great customer experience is employee roulette, right? Inconsistency. And it's one of those things, and we've all had it. But like, you went to use my company. Who'd you get? Tom. Oh, good. Right. Oh, but you got Sally. Yeah, I'm holding my breath, right? I hope Sally was having a good day. I hope she didn't get in a fight with her husband. I hope she didn't, whatever. And employee roulette is when the level of a client's experience is depending on which employee you get. And that's the biggest struggle we all have. So you want to teach the consistency of beat to greet, things like that. So there is that level of consistency. So if you go to the Ritz-Carlton in Boston or Miami Beach, it's very, very similar experience.
Talk about, and I know this is so fundamental to your work, and you probably talked about 100 times, maybe ad nauseum, but just summarize making price irrelevant.
Yeah, I love that. Making price irrelevant does not mean that we can double our fees, rates, prices tomorrow and not lose existing and potential customers. What making price irrelevant does mean is based on the brand, what the brand your brand consistently delivers. I have no idea what your competition charges. And there's a lot to unpack there. The brand, again, goes back to employee roulette. It can't be just dependent on Tom when I see him in person. It has to be dependent on when I'm emailing, Gentry, who's a rock star on your team, or whatever channel I'm in, whoever I'm dealing with, it is a high level. And listen, I'm price sensitive. I've been that idiot that's driven 3 extra miles to save 50 cents on something, not realizing I just lost in that exchange. But we all do have a few people that I do business with personally and a few companies I do business with professionally that they've made me so loyal by the expertise, the experience, the peace of mind, the brilliant comeback they make if they and when they drop the ball. We're all guilty of that I have no idea what their competition charges because I'm not price shopping them, and we all know this. A lot of times the cheaper you go, the more it costs you in time, hassle, expense, all those things. So yeah, it's about making price irrelevant. Apple's made price irrelevant. Lululemon's made price irrelevant. Tesla's made price irrelevant for a lot of different reasons.
Who are some of the local businesses that have earned that type of engagement by you? You mentioned
local,
a few.
Meaning Cleveland?
Meaning, yeah. I mean, like some in your ones that you.
So
yeah.
One is Hooper. I've written about him in my books. His name's Brian Hooper. He's a handyman. Doesn't work for me, but you know what this is like. He's done everything at the salons, everything at the house. And I mean, he's just unbelievable. And he will sometimes talk me out of, he'll come over. I say, Hooper, I need this wall knocked down because I need it, right? That's going to be a good job for him. And, after some, he says, you don't need to do that. We can achieve it this way. And he went from maybe a $10,000 project to a $1,200 project. But that's why I love him, right? And that's why he makes more money over the lifetime, because I know anything he says. If I say, Hooper, all I need is this, he says, no, you don't. That won't be right. You need something, a little bit more. I believe him. And so there's a really good characteristic of a brand, being a brand you can't live without, is that their employees educate versus sell, right? They're about educating. And sometimes that means taking a better deal off the table because it's not in the best interest of the client, right? In our industry, that could be, color, right? And it could be, danger of the quality of the hair, or no, you don't need to go full platinum blonde if you just want a little coloring around the face. Let's start with color, a few around the face, and we can crawl, walk, and run. If you love that, and you want more, we can do more the next time. But you know how much respect someone has for you, that you're educating them versus selling.
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking about this whole price mechanism here, and the irrelevance of it, and how so much time often goes by before someone will actually raise their prices, which I know you experience that all the time. Back to the book. How many books have you done now? I've lost track.
This is the sixth.
And how long did it take for you to write this one, the employee experience one?
So, I come out with a book every 5 years. Kind of not planned, but planned. So there's a little secret, a little author secret about writing books is, if you write a weekly blog, you're writing the book organically. And that's why every 5 years I have 250 blogs to pull from. And and I always say, the last book is the last book I write is it. I said that I had The Relationship Economy come out in 2019, and I said, never again, I'm done. It's just, and then I started writing, nothing but articles on the employee experience revolution. And so back to, you asked me earlier, the chapters. The one of the chapters is a recruitment experience. And you'll get this, and so will your listeners. 10, 15 years ago, if I heard you were hiring, or a buddy of mine worked for you, oh, I'd apply and hope that I get the job. Well, today, most employees know that it's an employee market. And so I'm going to interview with you and 5 other companies, and they may be in the same industry, they may not be, right? But to see who gives me the best deal, right? Whatever my version of the best deal is. And so now more than ever, besides our interview process being a filtering to make sure you're right fit and culture fit, is we have to make sure that the interview process that you go through blows the next one you're going to after, right? And so, a recruitment experience, an onboarding experience, an employee ongoing experience, which is really 90 days and beyond. That what we like to do is we call it the culture moat, a moat around your rock stars that the competition can't get to, and they would never think of going elsewhere. So that was kind of my impetus for the employee revolution, is just because it just, consumed me, having the same issues as everyone else. But all my clients just started calling and saying, we cannot achieve this customer experience if we don't fix our employee experience.
Wow. Yeah. Back to the writing of the book. I mean, so you consolidate your blog posts, and you really just kind of, it's a way of organically like unpacking what's on your mind. So over 4 to 5 years, like,
and it's
hold
not
on.
conscious. No, it's never been conscious. I keep on saying 2 years after the book, I'm not writing a book. I'm really not writing a book. And then all of a sudden, like you said, unconsciously it unfolds that I got something here that's, seems to be popular, and I need to get that out. So, it was, that's what the relationship economy is this is before the pandemic, right? And it's only, accelerated, but having a lack of human interaction now made relationships a premium. Who would ever thought that would be a scarce, in demand premium is the human relationship.
So you're out speaking with these big companies, and I know that one of the things that I knew about you as a speaker, you said you never get stale. You got to always keep updated. It's always updated. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are sort of your latest and newest stuff that are part of your, presentations these days? Is there areas you lean into a little more heavily than you used to? Perhaps it is the employee experience part now.
Yeah, definitely the employee experience, with leadership to that. Something that's interesting, I think applies to our business, because I know when I read the statistic, I realized it really, we are so guilty of this at John Roberts Spa, is 90% of an employee's professional development with one company comes within the first year, right? So then the 10% could come over the next 20 years. And so there's a couple things there that are really important. Number one, we have very low turnover, but of the turnover we have, majority of it falls in the first 90 days. All right, why? Well, because we are training you with a fire hose. And also, you know, I don't care who you are. If I come to work for you tomorrow, you come to work for me tomorrow, we are the dumbest people that work there, right? I mean, we just don't know anything. We don't know the acronyms. We don't know where the bathroom is. We don't know anything. That sucks. And so you know, a few things is to realize is we don't have to teach them everything in the first 2 weeks or 90 days. Some of that stuff they won't need to know for a year, right? After they get promoted and go onto the floor. Why are we training them about that stuff that they could no way comprehend, will forget, will take space up from the stuff they do need to know right now, and just streamline that out over the course of time instead of just thinking that they can inhale everything, you know, right away. So it's stuff like that. Also, a lot of things, you know, you brought this up earlier, but world-class experienced companies, a couple of things they do better than anyone else. One, they dictate what service aptitude is. Not, you know, they don't assume everyone has it. And it's probably the number one thing CEOs, entrepreneurs get wrong. They think service aptitude is innate, common sense. You know, service aptitude comes from 3 places. Yours did, mine did, Sydney's, anyone, your newest employee. The first place it comes from life experiences. So I think I have a pretty, you know, good understanding of how you grew up. I you know, like me, you weren't flying first class growing, you know, as a child. Right. You weren't staying at 5-star resorts. No. You know, you weren't getting a Mercedes-Benz handed to you at 16. But the first 10 jobs you had from high school on, you were expected to give that type of experience to those types of clients, patients, tenants, guests, whatever we may call them. And it's not fair, right? The second place service aptitude gets shaped is previous work experiences. And unless, you know, you have a direct pipeline to former Ritz-Carlton, Chick-fil-A, you know, Nordstrom employees, which none of us do, you're hoping that they got trained, and there's a good chance, a 90% chance, they were trained to be paranoid and suspicious, which we don't want them to be, right? When our platinum VIP walks in and said she forgot her gift card or whatever, we don't want them to treat her like she's, you know, trying to get away with something. So we can't control those 2 things as leaders. The only thing we can control is the third thing, is what we do with them after we hire them, right? And so I always love to ask this question. You know, Tom, if you were to hire one of my boys to be in a customer-facing position tomorrow, how much training would you give him? And, you know, before you'd let him interact with your customers. And some people say 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. It's really not the answer I'm looking for. The answer I'm looking for is, of the 40 hours, 400 hours, or 4,000 hours, how much is technical processes operational, and how much is soft skill, listening, building a rapport, making a brilliant comeback? And as you know, in most cases, it's 99% Here's how you book the appointment. Here's how you ring up the transaction. You know, here's how you take part gift card and part cash, or part, you know, all important. But typically that 1% of customer experiences, hey, Tom, see the sign in the back where it says we go above and beyond, or we're guest centric? Do that. Well, that leads me to the next part, is world-class companies remove personal interpretations. If I tell 100 employees to deliver genuine hospitality, I'll get 100 different personal interpretations, right? You may, or let's not use you, you know, someone may think a head nod is genuine hospitality. Hey, you know, how you doing? And someone else may think jumping in their arms and hugging them is genuine hospitality. We have to define the John Roberts genuine hospitality. So here's ours, just to wrap it up. It's the 5 E's, okay? And the 5 E's take less than 5 seconds to do. The first 3 take 1 second to do. Eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear-to-ear smile. Eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear-to-ear smile. So you walk in the door, I'm like, Tom, right? Just did all 3. The fourth E is engage. Engage means it's about you, not me. It's about Mary. It's about your kids, how the wedding was, how your job is. It's not about me and throwing up on you about, what's going on in my life. And the 50 is educate, right? Educate that every time someone speaks to someone on my team via email, face to face, over the phone, I want them to walk away from that interaction and say, damn, no one is smarter at their job than that person. So eye contact, enthusiastic greet, ear to ear smile, engage and educate.
My goodness, a little bit of a masterclass coming here too. This is great stuff.
I drank a lot of coffee. Sorry. Actually,
well,
I did. This is just me.
No, your enthusiasm, passion, and wisdom and expertise is awesome. And Carol Augusto just did a little notification there. Good morning, Carol. We both love Carol. We have stories around Carol. I know.
Carol.
She said you'll be doing a half-day workshop at Serious Business, taking a deeper dive in executing customer experience. Dave is the co-author. We'll also be doing a half-day workshop, taking a deeper dive in employee experience. All right. I didn't know you were going to be in New Orleans next month in January. You will be there.
I think that's where me and you probably have spoken the most often together. I thought you were, always on the docket. But some of my fondest memories is literally speaking in the room next to you.
Yeah, let's go there. Let's talk about that story. Let me set the stage here, okay?
Disrupting.
Yes, John's a disruptor, literally. John and I were both doing workshops at Serious Business in adjacent rooms.
At simultaneous breakouts.
And I'm in the middle of doing something really important. And then all of a sudden there's a little bit of pounding starts, a little bit more pounding, and pretty much the whole wall is vibrating. And open up the door between the rooms. He's got his entire audience walk to the back wall and just to sheer disrupt me, started banging on the wall. So you're a character, my friend.
I don't know if I told you how I came up with that, but it's kind of my habit of when I do breakouts. But so I'd say, listen, I appreciate you coming in and choosing me. You had a lot of great choices, and I appreciate it. But I also want to make the people that didn't choose me regret it. So at the count of 3, I'm giving you permission to go nuts, go crazy. I want everyone in every other breakout to be saying, oh my God, what am I missing? So I must have known you were in the adjoining room. And so I said, hey, go to that wall and pound on it. I remember you came out and looked at me.
Well, I
am at Serious Business in January. I think the 20th and 21st. Sorry, Carol, you can correct that in the thing. But yes, Dave Murray from my team, he's the vice president of consulting, was the co-author of the Employee Experience Revolution. So I'm doing a customer experience workshop, and he's doing the employee experience workshop.
Well, I don't know your travel plans, but this is a public and a personal invitation to join us for dinner on Sunday night at Serious Business. We have the most long-standing community dinner, and take this as an invitation for both of you. Let's everybody give John a virtual round of applause here. Give this guy a shout out here. John, since I am traveling here, I'm not in my normal studio here. I can't show you what's coming in the mail to you, but if I did, I would show you a light bulb that has $1 million in the minutes in the middle inside of it.
I love that.
So do watch your mail, because you'll be getting a light bulb in acknowledgement of your help, and that's an official welcome to the Brain Trust. So, man, oh man, how fun to get caught up with you! I can already tell that those that tuned in or will tune in are going to get a ton out of this, and I'm thrilled because I get to see you in a little bit under 2 months here, my friend. So.
I can't wait. And Tom, you've made an impact on so many people's lives in the industry. Mine in so many ways as a friend, as a peer of a salon owner, and as a speaker consultant. So I really appreciate, and I love coming back to the beauty industry, because, and I don't say this in any other podcast or conference, there is nothing like the energy and soul of the people in the beauty industry.
Yeah, very, very well said. I echo that, and thank you for the kind words. For the rest of you, we are on next week, and then I believe we take a break over Thanksgiving. And what a great episode. We are off next week. Thank you for posting that in the chat. All right. I'm not always as informed as I should be. So we'll be seeing you very soon. John, thanks again. For the rest of you, we wish you a happy Thanksgiving, or if this podcast is being listened another time, we just wish you a happy life. Take care, everybody, and thanks again.